Hi, thanks for using OurChurch.com's WPEZ website builder. It's WordPress made easy. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a custom form on your website. Now, a little bit of a warning before we get into this. Typically, we like to keep our video tutorials at 3 to 5 minutes long. Because of the complexity and the options in creating a custom form, this one could be quite a bit longer than that. So prepare yourself. All right, well, you ready to get started? As usual, the place to start is on the WPEZ dashboard. So we will go there, and now when we want to create our form, we go to More, and then we go to Form Generator. And you can see we currently have no forms, so we can click here to get started, or we can click here at Add New. So the first part of this is a pretty standard form here, so we're going to name our form Volunteer Application Form, and name of our organization, Sample Organization, reply to email, and as it says here, best results are to use an email that exists on the domain of your website. So I'm going to go with Paul at OCC Custom Site 2. That's our sample site that we're working with. And then the email subject, this is the subject that is going to, when the form is filled out, the email will go to someone, and the subject of that will be something like volunteer application form info, and we are going to send this to, could be to somebody else in the organization, but for the sake of this, we're going to use the same email address. And then we click Create Form. All right, now we get into the main meat of the form here, and we'll see here that under Settings, we have the option of just some general settings here, whether we want to align it to the top, the left, the right. We have email options. These are the settings we just entered into the form. So you shouldn't need to do anything here, but if you need to change them, you can. And we have confirmation settings. This is the text that is shown on the form after a visitor to your website fills it out. So typically, this would be fine, is just to have it say, your form was successfully submitted. Thank you for contacting us. But if you want, you could have someone, when they're done, go to a page that exists in your website, or you could have them redirected to another URL. But for our purposes, we will keep the text as it is. And then we've got the notification settings here. If you want, you can send an email to the person who filled out the form to let them know that we got their information. All right, so now we get to building the form itself. So let's say, for our purposes here, that we want to create a volunteer application form. We start here. The first default item in our form is called field set, and this is simply the title of your form. So let's change this and put in volunteer application form, and then we will leave it like that. Now, one of the things that you might want to do as you go along is, because it might take a while to complete the form, you may want to go down to the bottom and click the Save Form button, just so that if you step away or your internet connection gets interrupted, that you don't lose all of your work on it. So good idea just to do that periodically. All right, so we've got our title of our form, and now we're going to start adding some items to it, and I'm going to use a mix of different types of fields in our form here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we will add a text field. A good thing we would want to add is ask for somebody's name. So we'll put in full name. And as you can see, if you want, you have the option here to add a description. I think most people will understand what it means when you ask for their full name. Other things that you have on here, you have the option if you want to require this. So yes, we want to require the name. And then we have the option of the size and the field layout. We're just going to use the defaults here as we go. You can put in a default value if you want. You wouldn't want to do that with the name, but that's what we need for this one. So we've got the name. Now let's go ahead and add our next one. How about if good thing to ask for is the address. And we've got an address field up here. And then we can change the settings on this. So nice thing is that by default, it will automatically fill in the type of field here. So address, we don't need to change that. Let's require it. We should be good to go with that. Next, how about if we add a phone number? So you'll see phone is one of the options up here. So we'll click phone. And yes, we will require it. And you can see here there's a validation for phone that just makes sure that it is typical of a phone format, like a 10-digit number. All right, the next thing that we're going to add in here, we want to know what type of phone the person is giving us the number for. So let's try something different here. Let's use a radio type input. And so what we want to do here is we want to ask the person the phone type. And now you'll see we have some options here. So it could be, is this their home phone? Is it their work phone? Or is it a cell phone? And if we want to, we can add additional options if we want to here. And let's go ahead and make that required. All right, so we've got our name, address, phone type. Next, let's add in an email address. All right, and that one, pretty typical, don't need to change that. And we can do email validation, which means it will require them to put in something that has a username at domain.something. Let's require that one as well. Alrighty, let's see, what else might we want to put in here? How about if we add in a field that uses checkboxes here. So let's use the checkbox option, and for the checkbox option, let's do best time to call. And here, now the difference between a radio and a checkbox, the radio, which we used before for the phone type, you can only select one option. So when we said phone type, it's either work or it's home or it's cell. You can't choose more than one. But for checkboxes, each one operates independently. So we can say best time to call, morning, afternoon, and evening. And now when the person fills out the form, they can select one of them, or they can select all of them if they want, one or two or three. So that's where a checkbox comes in handy. And let's add another option in here. Another good one to use is a select. So we'll use the select, and this is the drop-down option where you can select from more than one option. And a good example of that oh, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong one here. Let's delete this. I grabbed selection. What I wanted was the select. There we go. We'll add a select, and this is similar to the radio, but it allows you to, this is an example of a select box right here where you have yes, no. So let's say we want to ask people, how did you hear about us? And then we can say radio, TV, internet search, and let's add an option, friend. All right. And let's add one more option to our form here just to give an example for a common item you might want to add to a form. Text area. This is a block of text that can be multiple lines long. So let's say we want to have in comments or questions. And a good example of a text box is this one right here, or a text area. All right, so we should be good to go there. Now, by default, it has a verification in here. And verification is a good idea because it will help to reduce spam, especially from automated programs that fill out contact forms for the very purpose of spamming your email recipient with junk. So we're going to leave this in here. It's a very simple one where it requires that the person enter any 2 digits, and then there's going to be a submit button at the bottom. So let's go ahead and save our form. And now that our form is done, the next thing that we want to do is we want to add this form to a page on our website. So before we go to do that, you'll see here that we've got a short code for the form. So I'm going to highlight that and copy it. Now I'm going to go to Pages, Add New, and let's create a page called Volunteer Application Form. And so what we can do is now we can paste in the short code. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, there's actually a built-in way that's even easier. You can click on this Add Form, and you can see we can, since we've only got one form that we've created, we just have the one here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and if you click Insert, you'll see it adds the short code for you. All right, so that is it. We are just about there. We click Publish, and it should automatically be added to our menus. So let's go back to our home page and refresh. Now you can see up here we've got volunteer application form. Let's go ahead and click on that. And here is the form that we just created. Now you can see the different types of fields that we have here. The full name, which is a text area. You can see with the address, we get the street, a second address line, city, state, region, phone number, phone type. Here's our radio type, where we can select only one of the options. Our email address, best time to call. This is where, with the checkbox, you have the option to do as to select as many as you like. And how did you hear about us? Here's our select. Let's say we found from a friend. Here's our text area. I'm excited about volunteering. Call me ASAP. And verification. Well, in this case, typically it would ask for any 2-digit number, but because I'm logged in as the administrator, it doesn't show that to me. So I can click submit. Oh, a lot of these are required. All right. Well, I'm not going to bore you with going through and filling out the form, but there you can see that the validation works for it too. So that is how you create a custom form with the WP-EZ website builder. Thanks for watching.